Hello and welcome to another video on Python programming. In this video, we'll be talking about tuples in Python and exploring some of the basic things you can do with them. So let's get started. In Python, a tuple is a collection of ordered and immutable elements, meaning the order won't change and you cannot add or remove elements once they have been created. Tuples are represented by parentheses and the elements are separated by commas. Let's take a look at an example. So here we can set my tuple equals to tuple of open and closed parentheses. This will create an empty tuple for us. We can also create a tuple with values inside. So for example, we have fruits here equal to open parentheses, and we have our string of apple followed by a comma, string of banana followed by a comma, and string of orange. Now you can mix data types. So if you wanted to, we could say this is 1, and we can say this could be true, and this is perfectly okay in Python. So here's an example of declaring a tuple in Python. So we can see here we have example 1, or ex1 is equal to open and close parentheses of our string apple, and same thing down here, but there's a comma after it. So to declare a tuple, you need to have at least one comma to be considered a tuple. If not, it treats it as whatever type is in the parentheses instead of a tuple. So we can go ahead and print the type of our ex1 and type of ex2. And we can see that this first one, ex1, is a class string, and the second one is of class tuple. So just something to keep in mind when you're declaring tuples. Also, having parentheses on multiple lines like this is just a way for Python to know if something will be multiple lines. You can do something like this, have a multi-line variable equal to open and close parentheses of 1, and we'll go ahead and run this with printing the type and the variable. And we can see it is an int and not a tuple. So I'll go ahead and use an example of fruits here that's equal to a tuple of apple, banana, and orange. And from here, we can get a specific element from this tuple by indexing. So to index, we need to open and close square brackets and the element that we want to index. So in this case, it starts from 0. So it goes 0, 1, and 2. And so for this, we're getting the position of 1, which is the second element. So banana. We go ahead and run this. We can see that it does print banana. If we try to access an index that is too large, it will throw an error. So we go ahead and run it, getting position 99, and it throws an index error that the tuple index is out of range. Since there are not 100 elements in here, it will not let us get the 99. Another useful thing you can do with tuples is slicing, which means you can get a portion of it and not the entire thing. So from here, we can go from beginning to the end and don't include the last value, since this first element in our slice is inclusive and the second element is exclusive, meaning it does not grab the value at that point. It just stops at the one before that. So we say the elements from 0 to 1, essentially, because it's not getting the second one. And whenever we go ahead and run this, it just prints apple and banana. So another thing is you can index with negative values. And so having this -1 just means going from the opposite direction. Interestingly enough, going the opposite direction starts with a 1 instead of a 0. Both of these will provide the same output. If we go ahead and run this, they both print out apple and banana. We can also reverse a tuple by starting at -1, which is the last index, going all the way to 0, and stepping backwards one at a time. So it starts over here at -1. We want to get all the way over here to 0, and it goes from -1, back 1, back 1. Okay, we're at 0, we stop. We'll go ahead and run this. And you can see because we provided this 0 here, it is exclusive and it's not including this apple. So it just goes orange and banana. If you wanted to include apple, you would just get rid of the 0 here and leave it as a double colon. And if you run it again, it now prints all of them in reverse order. We can also get the length of a tuple by passing in the tuple into the length function. So we can go ahead and print the length of our fruits, and this will print 3, and you can see it right here. So as I mentioned earlier, tuples are immutable, which means once they are created, we cannot modify their elements. For example, let's say we try to change the second element in fruits to pear. Whenever we go ahead and run this code will produce an error because tuples cannot be modified after they are created. Another cool thing with tuples is you can have multiple assignment. So for example, we have the variables 1 and 2 setting equal to the tuple of 1, 2. This will put each of the tuples in their respective variables. And we can see as we print 1, we get 1, and 2 with 2. If you add more variables to this and provide a star, It will group all of the elements that were not extracted. So in this case, this 1 was extracted into this 1, and then everything else will be put into this 2 variable. So we go ahead and run this. We can see that it turns it into a list of 2, 3, 4, 5. And this does work with lists, sets, and dictionaries. And that's a basic introduction to tuples in Python. With tuples, we can store data in an ordered and immutable way, which can be used in certain situations. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a like, a comment, and subscribe.